This is Akashvani. In the program Money Talk, now we bring you a discussion on RBI's clarification on withdrawal of 2000 rupee currency note. The participants are Shishir Sinha, economic analyst, and Anubha Rohtagi, Akashvani correspondent.
The Reserve Bank of India, RBI, late last week announced that the 2000 rupee denomination notes will be withdrawn from circulation. Following this announcement, the central bank further specified certain rules and guidelines for deposits and exchange of these banknotes. To discuss these clarifications in detail, we have with us economic analyst Shishir Sinha. Mr. Sinha, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Sinha, the very first thing that I would like to know and what a lot of people are wondering about is why has the RBI decided to withdraw the 2000 rupees note now?
This is a part of what we call it a clean note policy. Normally, when you talk about a paper note, it has a certain life. If you can remember when 2000 note was introduced in 2016 and after 2018, the notes are not getting printed. That means the notes which are in circulation, they are already 4 or 5 years old and paper notes have a limited life. So RBI on a time-to-time basis, they do implement a policy, what we call as a clean note policy. So this is part of clean note policy. Withdrawal of rupees 2000 note from the circulation is a part of clean note policy, and it also means that the legality of that tender will continue even beyond September 30th, 2023.
We'll come to that point a little later in the discussion, but like you said, these notes haven't been printed since 2018, and so obviously they have not been very common in transactions. We have not seen them in the last couple of years. So for those who still have them, now what should they do with those notes?
See, the first rule is that you deposit in a bank or in a post office. The second rule is if you want to exchange it. So there is a capping on that. At one particular time, please remember this word, at one particular time, you can exchange 10 notes with a bank. Or if you can go to RBI offices, there also you can exchange that. But if you want to deposit, there is no cap. You can deposit unlimited number of notes. Whatsoever notes you have, you can deposit in a bank where you have the account, or you can deposit in the post offices where you have the saving account. There you can put it. But in terms of exchange, only bank branches and the RBI offices. There are 19 offices of Reserve Bank of India which are providing this facility. That means you can exchange that note into the smaller denomination, 500, 200, 100 or even 50 rupees or 10 rupees or 20 rupees. This facility is available till September 30th. After September 30th, the RBI will take a call whether to extend this particular deadline.
You of course mentioned the fact that there is no cap on the number of notes that one can deposit. So far as rules are concerned, in 2016 during demonetization there were rules, right? And now this time also the RBI Governor himself held a press conference yesterday to clarify certain points because people are quite confused about certain things. And in fact today there have been media reports that said that some banks are insisting on filling up a form or insisting on showing an ID. So what are the rules this time round as per RBI, and if the banks are insisting on their rules, what is the RBI's take on that?
There are two particular aspects to this question. One is about the rules on the identity. If you can remember, when RBI issued a frequently asked question on the same day, on the Friday, it clearly mentioned that you don't need to give identity to any of the bank branch or to the RBI when you are going for exchange the money. When you are going to deposit the money, you already have an account. That means it is already KYC certified. One. Number two, there is a rule under Income Tax Act that if you are depositing more than 50,000 rupees, you have to give a PAN number.
Yes.
So that rule still exists there. In terms of exchange, there is no such rule like you have to provide the identity. Even on Sunday, State Bank of India came out with a detailed circular that they are not going to be any kind of filling the form or providing any kind of identity for the KYC thing. Of course, there are certain section of people who are saying that when they go to bank, the banks are asking for certain kind of identity proof. I am sure that RBI will come out with a detailed clarification against on the identity part, because the basic purpose is that people should exchange the currency without any problem and they can go to any of the branch and can exchange them. Since there is a cap of 10 only, and that 10 is at a point. That means during the day, if you want to exchange it, say 2 times, 3 times, there is no problem in that. If you want to go to number of branches, you can do it. Now, we should remember that total value is available in circulation is only 3.62 lakh crore rupees, which is 10% of the total currency in circulation. It is a very small if you compare with the total currency in circulation. But still, we have a tendency whenever there is a kind of system, we always go into panic mode and we say what will happen into that. At this time, I think the system is much structured. The only thing is that there is some clarity more needed, and RBI should also come out with more detailed clarification, because after SBI, no other bank has come out with a circular on this issue. They are also required to come out with the circular, and they should sensitize their staff that what they need to collect from the people.
One point I want to, again check with you is that you said that it is not necessary for a person to be a customer of a particular bank to exchange these notes. Is that so? They can go to any...
Yes, they can go to any of the branch. And please remember, you can also go to RBI. There are 19 offices of RBI. You don't need to be a customer of RBI, because RBI's customers are mostly governments.
Yes.
So you don't need to be the government to go to RBI and exchange the currency. Of course, there are some issues. I mean, if you are going to RBI office, that's not easy in compared to if you are going to a bank branch. So I think there is no problem in going to any of the branch of any of the bank. They can go and exchange it. I just want to repeat it, since many of the banks have their own rules and regulations. Some of them are insisting for identity proof. I believe that RBI will come out again with a detailed circular, so that there should not be any problem in visiting any of the branch and exchange 10 notes at a time.
That was exactly what I was coming to, that supposing some bank refuses to exchange or accept, deposit the notes for whatever reasons, the RBI, has it come out with certain kind of guidelines for it, for the banks right now, or is that still a process?
No, that instruction have been issued that you have to accept the deposit. See, if you have a account with any particular bank, you can go and deposit the money. There is no problem. You have to follow the rules and regulations. One most important rule is that if it is more than 50,000, you have to give the PAN. Since your account is already KYC has been done on your account, so there is no issue in terms of deposit. The only issue is about the exchange. Since there is nothing called that you have to go to one particular branch or you have to go to this branch or that branch, that is something which needs much more fine-tuning and also clarity from the central bank.
Another clarification that the central bank has issued is that there will be no fees on the exchange of notes, but it has also said that deposits into bank accounts would be governed by the usual or the normal rules. So what does that mean?
See, normally what happens that most of the banks have a system what we call as that how many times you can go for cash deposit. So there are 4 times or 5 times, and beyond that they ask for certain charges for depositing the money. This time what the RBI has said that you can go to any number of time in a branch to exchange the currency, but at one particular time you can exchange only 10 notes. In terms of deposit, you can deposit any number of currency note. There is no problem in that, and there will be no fee into that. What I understand that since most of the banks have their own rule of 4 or 5 times of visiting the bank branch, they may have to come out with a circular that if you are coming with 2,000 rupees, even beyond 4 times or 5 times, that will not be counted of the total 4 or 5 visit to a branch.
Could it also be to do the fact that a certain amount of money, like if you deposit more than a certain amount, in that case there could be a levy of a service charge?
No, service charge, see, banks, what they do, banks, they say that if you are coming to our branch beyond 4 times or 5 times, that means you are also taking some kind of extra service from us. That means you have to pay certain levy for that. That is one point. Now, in this particular case, the RBI has clearly mentioned that you don't have to pay any fee for exchange or deposit. It has not mentioned anything about the numbers. Numbers have to be decided by the bank. So there is a possibility that some banks may say that if you are coming for 6 time or 7 time, you have to pay 100 rupees or 500 rupees for depositing this much of money. There is a possibility because banks have their own rule. That is why I am saying again and again that the bank should come out with a detailed circular on their end. Some of the banks have already done it. Yes. Some of the banks have already published that on the website also, that what kind of mechanism they have. They still need to sensitize the people because, financial literacy in India is very low. People have very limited knowledge about the entire banking system. So they need to be explained that what does it mean and what is your right and what kind of services we are going to provide.
So there is a deadline, of course, for exchanging or depositing of these 2,000 rupees banknotes till September 30th. What happens if one fails to do either of these transactions, either deposit or exchange notes till September 30th?
I would like to go back to what Mr. Shaktikanta Das said on Monday. He said that the Reserve Bank is very much aware about the problems of the people who have gone abroad, especially the elderly people who are spending time with their child in other countries. there are possibilities that they may be having some notes and they may not be able to deposit by the timeline of 30th September. So he has indicated, or what kind of indication we are getting from his statement, that the date may be given. One. Number two, the other indication we are getting from the central bank that after September 30th, you may not be able to say deposit in a bank branch, but the facility will always be available for exchange with RBI. Okay. So there will not be any problem in terms of exchange. And in terms of deposit, if you are not able to do that by September 30th, what we understand that RBI will come out with clarification that you can do it, and I don't think there should be any problem, because as I told you that if you compare with 2016, when we have almost more than 3/4 of the total currencies were taken out from the system in terms of value, this time this is just a 10%. So the problem may not be the same what we had or what we witnessed in 2016.
At the beginning of the discussion, you mentioned about the fact that the RBI has said that even after September 30th, the 2,000 rupee banknote will continue to be legal tender. Now, there is a confusion, for a common man, for the public. They are at a little, lost to understand what does it mean if I'm supposed to deposit or exchange all my 2,000 rupees notes by September 30th. And on the other hand, the RBI is saying that it will continue to be legal tender. What exactly does it mean? And what are the implications?
Okay. I will again go back to what Mr. Saktikanta Das said. He said that whenever there is a scheme or when there is any announcement, a timeline has to be given to implement it in a seriously manner. It cannot be like that you can go into endless deadline or endless date for that. Then the entire process, entire exercise will lose its significance. Now, when we are talking about September 30th, if you can remember, MyGov, which is the Government of India portal, it clarified on Sunday that even beyond September 30th, it will continue to be legal tender. If you can remember, in 2016, the Prime Minister said that they will not be legal tender after 12. And they can only be exchanged. This time it is very clearly mentioned that it will continue to be legal tender, and MyGov has also reiterated the fact that beyond September 30th there will be no issue on the legality. The only thing what we are expecting, or what Mr. Das has indicated, that by that particular date, September 30th, they are going to take a call depending upon how much money is coming back to the system, that what will be the legal status of that. As of now, what we are getting a sense that beyond September 30th, it will continue to be legal tender, just like what happened to the currency note exercise which took place in 2016 in relation to the notes which were printed before 2005. They are still legal tender. Yes. They are not in circulation, but they are still legal tender. So that kind of situation will be there after September 30th.
There is also a concern about the availability of lower denomination currency notes in the system once all the 2,000 rupee notes are withdrawn. So what did the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das, say about this in his press conference? Because people are a little worried.
Yeah, I don't think that people should worry about the smaller denomination note. If you talk about the smaller denomination note, the highest number of notes which are being used in smaller denomination is rupees 500 or even rupees 200. I don't think there is any shortage on that issue. At the same time, we should also remember that people are using digital transaction at a larger scale. So I do not think there will be any problem in terms of transaction. But I still want to say here that whenever there is an announcement, there are so many misconceptions and misinformation and miscommunications are there. And most of the people say that's the end of the story. This is not the reality. They should not worry about what is going to happen. They will have all the options available for the transaction in terms of the smaller denomination note.
Well, today is the first day of this whole scheme for the withdrawal and exchange of the notes, and let's hope in the next 4 months things will clarify further. The RBI will come out with more regulations, with more clarifications, and people would be able to, deposit or exchange the notes much more easily, than probably what was today. Thank you so much for joining us in the program.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on RBI's clarification on withdrawal of 2,000 rupee currency note. The participants were Shishir Sinha, economic analyst, and Anubha Rohtagi, Akashvani correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsttalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.